Lunch. On the stand right now, a new witness for the state, an investigator with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Let's go in live.
Raise your right hand, please. What testimony you give the matter now pending before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, have a seat, please. If you could introduce yourself to the jury.
Good afternoon. My name's Dan Miller, Deputy Investigator with Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, and how long have you worked with Jackson County Sheriff's Office?
In total, 18 years.
Okay, and what are your duties as an investigator?
Receiving reports from patrol of crimes committed and investigating those crimes further when a conclusion can't be brought to right when the report is taken.
Okay, and how long have you been an investigator?
Oh gosh, since 2017. I'm sorry, my math not mathing today.
That's fine. Take your attention back to 2023, specifically May of that year. Were you an investigator with Jackson County Sheriff's Office at that time?
I was.
Okay. Now I want to take your attention specifically to May 21st of 2023. Did you get information from your supervisor about an FBI tip?
I did.
Tell me the circumstances of that.
It was a weekend, as I recall, and I was the on-call investigator. So each week, the sheriff's office has a different investigator fulfill on-call duties. So if a call comes out after hours that investigations has to respond to, that particular investigator will respond to that call. This was a Sunday, I believe, and I received a phone call from my supervisor informing me of the tip.
Okay. Did he send you the tip or show you the tip or just tell you?
He did email it to me, but I wasn't able to. The only way I had to look at it was my county cell phone at the time.
Okay.
We had a way to log into our computers that I'm not the most technically savvy person in the world, so I wasn't familiar how to do that on a laptop. Nevertheless, I wasn't able to open that particular attachment in the email.
Okay. Did he verbally tell you what the tip was about?
He did.
Okay. What did he tell you about this tip?
Just that the FBI had received a tip.
Hang on. Sorry, you clear to say. What's your response?
No, it's not for the truth of the matter asserted. It's just information that he got that he then used to follow up with. He's going to actually go speak with the defendant about this tip, and so his information that he had is what he's using to speak with Mr. Gray. So it's just to show.
Not being offered to prove that the information in the tip is true.
Correct. We don't know if it is or not.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to overrule the hearsay objection. Understand that the value here is just that essentially the words were said or the tip contained information. It's not to prove that the content of the tip is true. Okay? Go ahead.
So what was your knowledge? What were you told before?
My knowledge was the address and possible name.
Okay.
And forgive me, I can't remember if it was Cole Gray or Colin Gray. One of those names came up referencing a person making a threat to shoot up a school.
Okay. And how was this threat communicated?
Through an app called Discord. It's like a gaming app, I guess. Gamers use it to communicate and do various other things. I'm not that familiar with it. I have heard of it. Okay. And at the time, I wasn't really all that familiar with it either.
Okay. So your information was that a tip came over that a user on Discord
Correct.
had made a threat to do what?
To shoot up a school.
Okay. And what are you getting as far as a name and an address? What's that tied to?
So that came from my supervisor. He said, go to this address and speak to this person. There was a possible threat made to shoot up the school. I can only assume he saw the tip, but I don't know. I can't say that with a definitive answer, but he told me the address, go here, there's a threat made to shoot up a school, and see what you can gather.
Okay, and did you go to that address?
I did.
Okay, did anyone go with you?
Deputy Justin Elliott.
Okay, do you remember the address that you went to?
Not off the top of my head. It's Rice Creek Court, I believe. I don't recall the exact numbers.
Okay, and did you approach the residence?
I did. We went, knocked on the door, and a couple juveniles answered. And
male or female?
Female.
Okay.
And common practice is if juvenile answers the door, we absolutely do not go in. We contacted parents and kind of explained why we were there. And the father, who's name escapes me at the moment, Frank Rundell, informed us that they had lived there.
Called him by phone or?
Yes, I had the juveniles call him by phone.
Okay.
And he informed us that he used to have a Discord account, but he doesn't use it anymore. He used it for like fantasy football. And that wasn't the name that was associated with the tip. So I just kind of ran it down as far as much information as I could get at the time. He said something to the effect that he did have a gun, but it was locked in a safe, and that the children.
Did you ask him about a gun?
I did.
Okay.
Said it was locked in a safe, and that the kids did not have access to it. But then he went on to say that the previous tenant got evicted from that address, I believe 3 months prior, and that they still were getting mail. So they had some of that mail there. One of the juveniles gave it to us. That's where we got the name from.
And what name was on the mail?
Colin Gray.
Did it have a different address?
Not on the mail, no.
Oh, that's right, because it went to that house. That makes
Correct,
sense.
yeah.
Sorry. At some point, did you find out where Colin Gray lived?
Yes. Deputy Elliott, I think he'd had dealings with them before. I can't say specifically. He was the one that was able to figure out the new address, the River Mist Circle address.
Oh, I'm sorry, what's that address?
954 River Mist Circle.
Okay, and did you go to that address?
We did.
Is this all on the same day?
It was.
Okay, and what happened when you got to that address?
Colin answered the door, and we proceeded to inform them why we were there, that there was a threat made to shoot up a school, and that the tip came from the FBI, and that the IP address for that tip came back to an IP address for Colin.
Okay. Are you a computer expert?
I am absolutely not.
Do you have a general idea of what an IP address is?
A very layman's idea, yes.
Okay, and what is that?
It's Internet Protocol, I think, is what that stands for. It basically, everybody's internet address, they have a specific address for their Wi-Fi router. That's about the extent of my knowledge.
Okay, and that IP address from the tip came back to Colin Gray?
According to the information that I was given.
Okay, and you told that to Mr. Gray here?
Yes.
Okay, what else did you tell him?
That there had been a threat to shoot up a school, and that it came from a Discord account that was connected to Colt. So we then asked to speak with Colt, and he allowed us to. And based on what I had at that point, so when I approach these sorts of cases, I'm very leery about, I don't push my way into people's homes. You might hear that from people sometimes. I allow them to dictate sort of what our interaction is going to be, so I know how I kind of need to respond. Mm-hmm. And I may even have asked them, I don't recall. Typically, I will ask people, do you want to speak inside or do you want to speak outside? Nevertheless, he stepped outside, and that's where we spoke.
Okay. And did you speak with Colt outside also?
I did. He had went and got Colt and brought him outside.
And when you spoke to Colt, was that in Colin Gray's presence?
Yes.
Okay. And what did Colt Gray tell you?
That he denied making the threat and said that he used to have a Discord account, but that he had stopped using it because people were hacking it, which in my mind wasn't out of the realm of possibilities. Again, I'm not a computer or digital forensics expert, so that seemed like a logical explanation why you would stop using such an account.
Did you talk to Colin about whether or not Colt had access to firearms?
Yes, I did.
And what did he tell you?
He said they do have guns in the house. I believe he said they were not locked away, but that the ammunition was separated. Okay. And that he didn't have, I think I referred to it as unfettered access. I don't think those were his words. Okay. So we're saying Colt didn't have unfettered access? Correct. Okay. Was anyone wearing a body cam at that time? Deputy Elliott was. Okay. Was this interaction recorded on that body cam? It was. And have you had a chance to review that body cam since? Yes, I have. And there been any additions and material additions, deletions, or any changes to it? No, and that's my knowledge. Does it fairly and accurately portray the conversations between
you and the defendant and Colt Gray.
Yes.
Okay. All right, this time I tender state exhibits number 137 into evidence. It's
All right, we're going to hit the pause button right there, but coming up, did you hear that? It's the evidence that could change this entire case. The jury hears from defendant Colin Gray in his own words in the body camera footage recorded about a year before this deadly school shooting. That's coming up on Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice.
This is the story of the Richins. Eric, a father of 3, met an untimely end, and Corey, his widow, wrote a children's book on grief.
She's also charged now with his murder.
He was faced with betrayal and terror.
I know her innocence.
Is their story a tragic romance?
Or a twisted tale of grief?
The truth will come out.
The Grief Author Murder Trial. Live coverage begins Monday morning, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
It's day 4 of testimony in the Gave My Son a Gun murder trial playing out in the state of Georgia. Prosecutors say Colin Gray gave his son a gun despite knowing of serious mental health issues. The state alleges that the gun was then used to kill 2 students and 2 teachers in a mass shooting. Now the father is facing life behind bars if found guilty of 29 counts. Let's get you back into court now where the jury is about to watch body camera footage.
Actually in 2 parts, point 1, 137.1 and 137.2. When it was digitally sent to us, the video came in 2 parts.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor. As I understand, he's going to play the whole video, but playing it in 2 parts.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. 137.1.
And Your Honor, for the record, there's a part where Investigator Miller and the defendant step away from the camera, leaving Deputy Elliott and Colt. They do talk. It's mostly just small talk about nothing. I want to play straight through so it shows the time that they're away and the time of the entire encounter.
Any issue there?
No objection to that.
Okay.
All right.
Your Honor, the first clip is 15 minutes and the second clip is 4 minutes. And is this you here?
It is.
Okay.
Colin, you want to step out where you can talk real quick?
Yes,
So we got a tip from the FBI saying that somebody from your old address, over there in Traditions, they made a threat to you at school. It's pretty low. Our name was associated with that address, and you weren't living there. All right, say that again, I'm sorry.
It's very low. I don't know if the jury can hear it or not.
I think it's high, so we can get it, Your Honor.
Yeah, we're at highest volume for the computer.
All right, if you want to, can you back it up 10 seconds or so, and then I've got on 9 video volume as high as I can get it. Colin? I am. You want to step out where you can talk real quick?
Yes, sir.
You know what this board is? So we got a tip from the FBI saying that somebody from your old address, over there in Traditions, they made a threat to shoot at school. Oh, really? Yes, sir. And your name was associated with that address. So we went over to that address, and you weren't living there. So yeah, we're good here. Are we get dressed? Sure.
We're going to fast forward a little bit until he comes back out.
Okay.
The timestamp here is 43 seconds. And we're starting it back up at 2 minutes, 8 seconds.
That's all right.
I got up watching the golf tournament and sat back down.
That was it.
So what? Tell me what.
You have any kids or anything?
Yeah, Cole, right?
He's old?
Yeah, Cole. He's my oldest son.
How old is he?
He's 13.
Play a lot of video games and stuff?
Yeah. Right all the time.
Is he here right now?
Yeah.
You think it's something you might
I damn sure want to know.
can you talk to him?
Yeah, absolutely. Now look, he gonna get all red-faced when you talk to him. Just calm, all right? So let me give you a backstory. So we lived over traditions. I went to work one day on Soul Diner, doing high-rises downtown. So I get a call from one of y'all, so my family's in law enforcement. So when I get the call, I don't think the officer's name. Turns out, nicest guy like ever. He's like, I just want to let you know I'm at your house. I'm like, for what? He said, y'all have been evicted. I'm like, no, just pay rent. He's like, nope. He's like, I'm going to stay here till you get here. So I drove all the way out. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'll just let you know this is what's going on. There's people staying. They're going to get your stuff after 24 hours. Is that right? I don't even know why y'all are here. So, long story short, I'm like, trying to figure out what's going on with my wife. She's in the house. So we split. Long story short, for obvious reasons. She took my younger two and went back home with mom. Colt and I rented the house and we came here. So we've been good, like no problems. He struggled at first with the separation, all schools kind of so. So I've been up at school countless times just tracking with it. You know, like, make sure you're good. They understand what's going on. He goes to Jefferson. So he's been doing really good. Like, you know, in the beginning, he kind of struggled a little bit. But
let me ask you this: Do you have weapons in the house?
I do.
Accessible to him?
They are. I mean, there's nothing loaded, but they are. We do a lot of shooting. We do a lot of deer hunting. He shot his first deer this year.
Yeah.
You know, so. Like, I'm pretty much in shock, to be honest with you.
Well,
I'm a little pissed off, to be even really honest with you, if that is what was said. But,
well,
we've been up to school for so many times now.
The information I got was sort of incomplete. I don't know how old it is. And like I said, the original complaint went to your other address, or your previous address, and that's where we just came from.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't.
I don't know. And so we ran I had your name, date of birth.
Yeah.
That's how we got this address. So,
I mean, I swear to God, we've been up to school. I've been up to school, like, I'm on first name. I just was up there 3 days ago for his finals, talking to the principal, like, look, make sure Colt's good. He gets flustered and under pressure. He doesn't really think straight. When we just kind of put your arms around him, get him through 7th grade. I just want to make sure he's good. Like, I mean, we're up there all the time talking to school. If you talk to that school, they'll know exactly who I am. I'll say that. I mean, because I'm up there that much, you know?
Checking in on him.
Yeah, I just want to make sure he's good. So I'm a little taken back by the whole thing, but I can tell you this, I take that very serious, and so does he, as a matter of fact. You know, he's...
Say his first name's Colt?
Colt, C-O-L-T, yes, sir.
I mean, all I can do is ask him.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, I want you to talk to him and just tell him. Like, I don't know, I'm mad as hell if he did, and then all the guns will go away, and they won't be accessible. You know, I'm trying to be honest with you, I'm trying to teach him about firearms and safety and how to do it all and get him interested in the outdoors. Like on my phone.
He can get away from those video games.
Exactly right. That's the God honest truth. And the picture on my phone is him with blood on his cheeks from shooting his first deer. It's just the greatest day ever. So he knows the seriousness of weapons and what they can do and how to use them and not use them. So it's kind of a little bit of a shock. So, in whatever y'all tell him, please instill in him that if this is whatever, wherever this has come from, this is no joke. Yeah. Like, it's no joke.
Well, we wouldn't either if it was.
No, I know. And I'm telling you right now, we talk about it quite a bit. All school shootings.
All right, let's hit the pause button right there. We need some legal analysis around what we just saw. Let's bring in my guest for this hour here to discuss from Oakland, California, friend of the program, criminal defense attorney Joanna Nieves. Nice to see you. All right, what do you think about this body camera video so far?
So far, what we see is he's being pretty casual in the conversation, offering up a lot more information than he's being asked for. I'm still waiting for Colt to come out the door because that's what they asked, whether or not they could speak with him. But I think that we know this, right? A lot of families, especially in that area, partake in recreational activities involving firearms. And, you know, it's not uncommon for them to be in the home. I think the real question is, when did that kind of like deregulation of the firearm happen? You know, like, why did he end up directly giving his son a firearm after he had some additional information that would make any most reasonable people question whether or not that person should have a firearm? That's the real question for the jury, giving him access and not taking it away. We all, you know, the fact that he enjoys firearms, my children enjoy cookies, but that doesn't mean that they can have unfettered access to them. And we're talking about an inherently dangerous weapon. And I think that there needed to be far more regulation. And so I'm curious to see what Colt has to say here in the body cam footage.
Yeah, you know, that's going to be critical for this jury to hear. And the fact that this is towards the end of the state's case in chief, we believe, that they're hearing from this defendant in his own words. I mean, the question here is, after these alleged warning signs, you have a shrine to another mass killer, a school shooter in your bedroom. You maybe are have showing signs of mental illness and of, you know, making threats. I mean, the signs are what is pointing to the state's case here. Are they meeting their burden?
I can still see where the defense is going to argue around that, right? I mean, here, like we know, there was a mental health crisis that was going on. I mean, so much so that a family member was looking for an inpatient program. They were signing up for counseling. I think in opening statements, they even mentioned something about they were kind of medicating him with Zoloft. And so there were some sort of, like the mother's medication. There were signs that they were seeing that there was trouble at home and trouble with Colt, but they didn't actively, or they, as in Colin, the father, right? He's accused of not actively taking any steps, providing him with the firearm. However, I can see the defense arguing that this just doesn't meet the burden because were there actually, was he actually on notice that he had more than just destructive behavior, that it was more than just vandalism or breaking windows or, you know, getting in a couple fights at school and skipping school? Did he ever threaten to use a firearm or make violent type of threats that would put the father on notice? And I think the only thing that they've alluded to so far is that he looked up how to kill his father a few years prior.
Yeah, and they're talking about it right now, and that's the reason why police are at the home 1 year prior. I mean, why wasn't this gun locked up in the first place? I mean, that is the question here. We do have to hit the pause button. We do have to get a break. You're going to be joining us for the rest of the hour. Coming up, more body camera video of defendant Colin Gray as the state says that he should have done more to stop his alleged school shooter son. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Matt Johnson. Thanks for being with us today. Back to Georgia we go for day 4 of testimony in the Gave My Son a Gun murder trial. Colin Gray, the father of an alleged school shooter, is facing 29 counts, including 2 counts second-degree murder for his role, as the state says, in the school shooting at Appalachia High School that left 4 people dead. Prosecutors say Colin gifted his son a gun, even though he was aware of his kid's severe mental health issues. Let's get you back into court for more of that body camera video.
Yeah.
All day. You get picked on at school. He is. He's getting picked on at school, and is everything okay? That's why I keep going up there.
Yeah.
You know, because you never really know, and I don't want anything to happen to him. So, yeah. You know,
all right, well, if you want to grab them,
yeah, y'all talk.
Or we can go in.
Sounds like cool. Hang on.
That's the word part. I don't know. What information is out?
These are good dudes. Just, they're
Hey, Cole, come on, bud. So did Dad kind of explain everything to you?
Said something about shooting up the school.
Did you say something about school shooting?
Never just told me, maybe they misheard somebody else. I never said that.
You never ever said.
I swear.
Do you use Discord?
Discord?
Yes, sir.
I used to.
When's the last time you used it?
Not that long, but
Really?
Was it in traditions or was it here?
No, it was a tradition because in that just workout that I had, I had to be in it before you too. Yeah, because I think they got like 8-minute cash report or something. Or I had to put on or something like that.
Have you heard anybody on Discord when you were using it say something like that? Remember?
Like at that time?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think I ever had anybody that.
And I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody pinned up, but like, this is some serious stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, he knows how serious this is, trust me.
I'd hate to, you know, my boss was like, you know, I don't know how old this information is, and if you want to wait till Monday to follow up, I was like, no, I'd rather do it now, because
So would we.
there's God forbid something happened, and I didn't do my job, but I feel pretty bad about this, so I just want to make sure you understand that if something like that happens, or you hear something like that, tell their dad, tell their
like I told him, I'll cross over or say something.
So you haven't used Discord in a few months, and you're saying you didn't say anything.
No, I was going to have his TikTok, but I just go around there and watch it.
All right, well, fair enough.
What's your birthday?
January 14th, 2007.
He's just going to do a little report saying that
We talked.
we've done in reference to this, and we talked, and saying that we didn't say anything like that. I got to take you at your word, and I'm being honest with you. I'm not saying you're lying, but it's not unusual for people to lie.
He's too big.
Hey, Colin, what's good phone number for you, sir?
It's 706
706
590.
59.
It's a new number. I think it's 2876. We'll get to double check on that.
That's what we're doing. About ready to get done with it?
I already finished.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
When was your last day?
Wednesday, Sunday, so Friday.
Right. What grade you going into? 8th grade, almost high school, man. The last 4 years, really, the last 4 years is what matters. You're doing good grades, man. Set you up for risk.
590-2768.
590-2768.
Yes, sir. 590-2768. Yeah, so look, you know, welcoming time. We take it like dead serious right here, and I just want to make sure that I even feel better if you do find out what or where. Like, can somebody let us know? Sure. He's going to be full of anxiety until this gets resolved. I can tell you that.
So did you switch schools when you moved from traditions? Where were you going before?
West Jackson.
West Jacksonville? Okay. Is things a lot better now?
Oh, yes, sir.
That's good.
Let me grab you one. Can I walk through the grass and we'll
We get bullied over there at West Jacksonville.
That's the thing, I wasn't back there.
Oh, yeah. Now, look, to be honest with him about that, now in middle school, I told him you were now, and that's
Getting switched out halfway through the school year. You're the new guy.
Yeah, being that quiet, I moved like 6 times already.
Well, my dad was a logger and grew up in the military. We moved a lot when I was a kid.
Because I left high school, so surprisingly, I wasn't at the reason, so I didn't necessarily have a reason that I would say that.
Yeah. Well, there's always somebody you can talk to if you need to.
Yeah.
School resource counselors.
Yeah, and I do talk to them. I talk to the counselor real often. Just, update her on how to tell my
Start looking out and making goals for yourself.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You interested in anything?
I'll do philosopher on the road.
A what?
A philosopher.
Philosopher.
Yeah. It's kind of what out there.
Yeah. Well, do what you enjoy. I did 20 years in the military. You don't have to settle on just one thing. Did 20 years in the military, retired from that, and been doing this for 7. So you don't have to fit everything inside the box.
Yeah, I might practice.
Okay, we do need to take a break. Coming up, more body camera video in the case against Colin Gray in Georgia. This is Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice. In 2021, Dee Warner vanished without a trace.
Dale Warner. He's accused of murdering his wife, Dee. Rumors of a troubled marriage spread throughout this small community.
She had contemplated divorce several times.
Now, after years of searching for Dee Warner,
her remains are found on the couple's property, sealed inside a welded shut storage tank.
We're still going to fight to the end to see that she gets her justice.
The hidden murder of Dee Warner. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Back to Georgia, where the father of the alleged school shooter is on trial. Prosecutors say Colin Gray allowed his son to have a gun that was later used to kill 2 teachers and 2 students at his high school back in 2024, according to prosecutors. Before we get you back to court, let's bring back my guest for this hour, criminal defense attorney Joanna Nieves. What do you think about the defense case? What might we see? First off, do you think that we will see them put on a case? It's not their burden to do so. And do you think this defendant will testify?
I've actually been thinking about that, and I do think it might benefit him to testify. One of the things here that the jury is going to get hung up on is, why didn't you ever take the gun away? First of all, why did you give him a gun after you were told to restrict his access to guns? And then when you see all of these things happening along the way over the course of the about 10 months that followed, why did you not go in there? When the mother asked you to take the gun away and got into an altercation with him trying to remove the firearm, why didn't you do anything? And I think we need to hear his explanation. Of course, there's no obligation for him to do so, but it'll add more color and context for the jury at that point. And I have some thoughts on what the defense may actually, hope to elicit out of him if he does take the stance in regards to his concerns about the other children in the household, and maybe, whether or not taking the firearm would have caused more turmoil inside of the home and put other people in danger.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, because as a juror, if I'm looking at this case, I'm really wanting to hear from him, especially after this body camera video gets played to this jury, which, is taking place a year before this event in question. But I want to hear, why wasn't it locked up? Not just the fact that why'd you give it to him, but why wasn't it locked up? And did you see any warning signs? Why weren't you answering your phone when the school was calling you? I want to hear those responses. And even if it's a simple, I didn't know any better or I didn't see anything, I just want to hear from him.
Yeah, and I think it's also the opportunity to see him as the dad that he is. We know that there was a lot of, trouble between him and the mother, and then he ends up being a father that's working, taking care of 3 kids, and really being able to paint him as a dad that was doing the best he can, and this wasn't something that he intentionally overlooked. It was just one of those maybe the warning signs weren't as glaring as they may seem from the outside looking in. And that would really help to, just kind of gain sympathy with the jury.
Joanna, always great analysis from you. Thank you for being on Court TV with us today. I know you have to get to court. All right, let's get you back into court in Georgia for more of the body camera video.
We got guys at the sheriff's office, they're full-time plumbers, full-time police officers, do what pays the bills, do what they enjoy. But everything's going good?
Yeah,
That's good. You got a phone?
My phone, yeah.
What's your phone number?
Like I said, I changed my phone number.
Okay. Dad said you went deer hunting for the first time this past year. What'd you get? 3-pointer?
Yeah,
Fork on one side and a prong on the other, or?
it was one,
Yeah. Yeah, fork on one side, one on the other. Spike?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen more one antler deer this year than any other time in my life. Out there in the rut and breaking off an antler. Run around with just one set of antlers.
All right. Well, look, Cole, I appreciate it. Your dad got my card. If anything, if you hear anything, tell your dad that he's got my number. You have had his info on.
It's serious. He knows how serious it is. And he'll, like I said, we'll have a long conversation here in just a little bit. It's something, there was a pretty traumatic thing that him and I both went through now. He was at school, I was at work, come home, and I mean, every ounce of what we had was under tarps and sitting in that yard. You saw it. Yeah. You saw the clientele, the neighbors that lived there. It's like fully embarrassing. So it was very traumatic for both of us, and living here, just us, is like, dust is finally settled. He's making good grades. So
that's good. We'll keep that up. That's important.
We'll start talking about traditions in West Jackson and just see if something jogs his memory like that. But certainly we'd like to know if something, if you do find.
Well, my thing is this, so more than likely they track the IP address. Okay. And that's why we went to that address. Okay. Because the IP address is usually location specific. Yeah. Within the area. So if it came from that house, then either somebody there's lying or the information is just so old.
Yeah.
And maybe it was something you heard or did on Discord months ago. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. But he's telling me he didn't. Yeah. Telling me he can't remember anything like that. Yeah. I take that at your word. But if you look me in the eye and tell me that's what you're telling me, I got no choice but to take it at your word right now. But like I was telling Dad, find out otherwise, and it's going to go with that.
It's a really good story. Okay.
And got any questions?
No, sir.
You have any questions? No, sir. All right. Now go the rest of your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. You got to be safe.
So there was a part there where you stepped away from with Colin. Where did y'all go?
I think we went to my car to grab a card.
Okay.
Like one of my business cards.
And did you have any further conversation with him there?
I did. I honestly couldn't tell you what was said.
Okay.
Unless it's in the report somewhere.
Okay. Did you write a report about that also?
I did.
Okay. Did you write your report in close in time to when it happened?
It was that. I think it was that Monday.
I say. So you wrote it that day or the Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it was an ongoing report. Wasn't all done at one time.
Okay. I'm going to show you Mark State Exhibit number 138. You have a copy of your report?
I do.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to show you. Then I'll keep this copy. You have your copy. These reports that you write, you wrote it contemporaneous, you said either that day or the next day?
Correct.
Okay. And the purpose of writing the report, what is that?
Document everything that went on. Everything you can remember, whether it be something you're thinking.
I'm Matt Johnson. Thanks for joining me for this hour. Coming up, more testimony in the Gave My Gun a Son murder trial for Colin Gray.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. All eyes are on Winder, Georgia, where the murder trial for the father of an alleged school shooter remains underway. Defendant Colin Gray has pleaded not guilty to nearly 30 charges, including the top counts of second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter, all stemming from the 2024 shooting at Appalachian High School, which was allegedly committed by his son, Colt Gray. On the stand now is Dan Miller with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. He's still facing direct by the state. Let's head back in for more.
Thinking at the time or something, maybe you smelled something weird at the time.
In case you have to testify about it 3 years later?
Correct.
Okay. Is it reflected in your report what you talked with Colin about?
Honestly, I'd have to go through it. I believe there are some instances where it is, yes.
Yes. All right. Specifically, I'm looking at the top of page 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So at this point, had you been able to view the tip?
No, only it was an attachment in an email. That was as far as I could get with it.
Did you give any instructions to Colin before you left?
As a matter of protocol, whenever something like this comes up, I typically tell people, especially when there's some kind of threat of a shooting, I tell them if you have any guns in the house, make sure the kids can't get to them. Obviously, people have a right to their Second Amendment. I can't tell him, I can't force him to lock guns in a safe or do anything like that without some specific court order telling me to enforce that. But just as a matter of protocol, whenever there's a threat involving guns, we tell parents, probably put your guns away, lock them up where your kids can't get at them. That's just good common sense, I think.
And does it reflect in your report that you did that with Colin?
Yes.
Okay. And did you also advise him about Colt in school? Any things that should be done with that?
I advised him to keep Colt out of school until we could resolve the matter.
And how did he respond?
Fortunately, school had already been excused for the year.
Okay.
So there wasn't really any concern of him going back to school that year.
Okay. So school had already ended?
Correct.
Okay. On May 23rd, so 2 days later, were you able to open the tip?
Yes.
And did you review it at that time?
I did.
Okay. And where was the source of information in the tip coming from?
It's a very good question. There was several different sources, it appeared. Palmdale, California, city of Cockburn in Western Australia, and Los Angeles, California.
And what was the Discord user's name associated with?
Let's see. I remember seeing it on here somewhere. So I know that I have the email. I don't know that
There wasn't like a username?
I don't know that I recorded it or not. And if I did,
do you have a copy of the tip with you?
It's probably in this case, probably is. So I'd have to dig through and find it. Actually, you know what? I think it's on this disc. I don't think I ever printed it out.
Okay. Let me show you what I'm marking exhibit number 208 for reference purposes. See if you recognize what that is.
This appears to be the tip that I'd received.
Okay, and on page 7 of that tip, does it refresh your recollection as to what the Discord username was?
You may have to point it out to me.
It's a little dense, isn't it?
Oh, there it is right there.
Okay.
I was looking through this highlighted part.
Okay.
Exclamation, you want me to read it out?
Sure.
Exclamation point, FBOM, pound or hashtag, depending on your generation, 0703.
Okay. And was that account tied to anyone?
I believe it was tied to Colt.
Okay. And was there a phone number on there that came back to someone?
Yes.
And where did that come back to?
It looked like it came out of LaGrange, Georgia.
Now, did you, after that initial interview or encounter on the 21st, did you then also have a follow-up phone call with Colin?
I did.
Okay, when was that?
I believe it was the next day.
Okay, and what did he tell you on that?
It may have even been the same day.
What did Colin tell you on that phone call?
I'd informed him of the email address that was associated with that account, and he said he didn't know who that was. The user who had actually made the threat, the name was written in Russian, and I asked him if Colt knew Russian, sort of taking a stab in the dark there, and he said he didn't know Russian, and said he doesn't know anybody in LaGrange. I had called LaGrange, I don't remember if it was like a police department or a sheriff's office. Anyways, I'd given them the phone number and asked them to track it down and see if they could figure out who this person was. They were able to make contact with somebody down there, and I think the phone number had since been reassigned to somebody else, and it was no longer the person that was living at that address.
Were you able to substantiate the case at all?
I was not.
Okay. Did Colin tell you anything about his conversation with Colt about on the phone?
He did. See if I can find it.
I believe it's on page 4 of your report. The last paragraph.
He spoke to Colt about his Discord account, and Colt told him that it had been hacked, so he stopped, or he deleted it. Because they didn't want anybody to use that account for nefarious purposes. what I wrote. So I urge Colin to take necessary precautions to secure his son's personal information, like social security numbers, things like that, because a lot of times kids are unwitting and will offer information to people. So I just told him, you can go on and put a freeze on somebody's social security number so nobody can open an account or anything like that.
And is that all the involvement you had with the case?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
All right, before we get into that cross-examination, I want to step aside here, take a quick break, and we'll get you back in that courtroom when we return. Keep it here on Court TV.
This is the story of the Richins. Eric, a father of 3, met an untimely end, and Corey, his widow, wrote a children's book on grief.
She's also charged now with his murder.
He was faced with betrayal and terror.
I know her innocence.
Is their story a tragic romance?
Or a twisted tale of grief?
The truth will come out.
The Grief Author Murder Trial. Live coverage begins Monday morning, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
All right, folks, let's head back to Georgia now, where the father of an alleged school shooter is on trial. Prosecutors say Colin Gray allowed his son Colt to have a gun that was eventually used to kill 2 teachers and 2 students at Appalachian High School back in 2024. He, the father, is now facing multiple charges, including second-degree murder. Let's head back into the courtroom now. We're listening to Dan Miller with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. He's now on cross by the defense.
Is it Deputy Miller? Is that right?
You can refer to me as Danny. I'm not a stickler for decorum.
Okay. You indicated to us, and I think we saw the movie, that you and another officer went over specifically to ask Colt if he were the one that was involved in this apparent email or text or something that had come through on the internet. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Are you familiar at all with the dark web? Do you know what that is?
Vaguely, yes.
Okay. Did you ask Colt if he was involved in the dark web, if he got on it, knew what it was?
It didn't really occur to me.
Okay. But you knew that this Discord was a part, could be a part of that dark web network.
I wouldn't say I knew that, no.
Okay. Were you given any information about how this threat was communicated, other than the fact that it came up over the internet?
Can you be more specific?
I mean, how was it communicated? Was just something put out on the internet, or was it directed to a particular person?
Well, yeah, I believe it was like a chat room.
Chat room.
My understanding of Discord is it's like a group chat. There's often many people that are within this chat room.
Okay.
And they just have conversations. And initially, I think it was supposed to start out as a gaming platform where people could talk about their video games and how, build strategies or whatever.
Okay. And Mr. Colin Gray, when he came to the door, he indicated to you that certainly he would cooperate with you.
He did.
As a matter of fact, he went and got his son immediately.
Correct.
Brought his son out. Gave you the opportunity to talk with him about whatever you wanted to talk with him about. Did he ever tell you, I don't want you to talk to him anymore?
Not that I recall, no.
Did he ever tell you you can't come back and talk with him at any time?
No, sir.
So when you began to talk with Colt, you asked him about whether he had made this threat, and he said, no, I swear I didn't. Right? And you talked to him a little while longer. And at the end, you indicated that you didn't believe he was the one that made the threat. Right?
Correct.
Okay. And his father, from what we saw on the video, indicated to you, if you believe this, all the guns in the house are gone. Isn't that what he said to you?
Maybe I don't remember him saying that. Is that what was in the video?
Okay. If it's in the video, then you.
That's fair. That's a fair assumption. Yeah.
And he also said, you know, I'd like for you to follow up with me and let me know if there's anything else I need to know about this situation. He wanted you to follow up with him, correct? After the conversation that you had with him the next day, did you ever follow up with him again?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't remember.
All right, but you don't have any records, any information that you talk with him again?
No.
And the conversation that you had with him the next day, was it recorded?
I believe so. I usually recorded my phone calls.
Okay. And I think you indicated that it's protocol that you normally say you need to watch your guns if there's a threat, especially now if school's going on, and you need to keep him out of school until we figure out whether this is true or not. Correct? But then you found out school was over.
Correct.
And you didn't find out that actually the threat was going on because you never got back with him, right?
I'm not sure.
You never got back with Mr. Colin Gray and told him that we found out anything else
after the phone call.
After that second phone call, you know.
I believe I told him that I wasn't able to substantiate the case at that point.
Okay.
And that it wouldn't go any further.
So at that point,
wasn't any need to follow up after that.
Sure. At that point, you were not able to substantiate anything. At that point, the case went away.
Correct.
And nobody ever called him again.
Correct.
And you saw on the video, I don't think you were there, but Colt was talking with the other officer about deer hunting, about shooting his first deer. You recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that Colin or Colt had indicated you that they bonded by hunting together? Do you know?
He had indicated that he was trying to get him interested in outdoors and involved with some sort of outdoor sports. Whether or not that was a bonding moment, I can't speak to what their relationship was like, but one could assume as much, yes.
Okay. Well, when you had a conversation with him outside of the view and sound of the camera, did he indicate to you, and that's Colin Gray, that they bonded that way, that they went hunting together?
Without hearing the recording, that conversation was 2.5 years ago.
It's been a day or two.
I can't recall.
All right.
I apologize.
No problem. And Colin Gray also indicated in that video that we saw that this is no joke. You know, I want to know. You remember him saying that?
I do.
You said that apparently this website, there's some indication that there was some Russian wording in it.
Yes.
And that came through the Discord?
Yes.
Did you ask Colin Gray if you could take the computer that Colt had and check it to see if there was anything in it?
No, sir.
Did Mr. Colin Gray indicate to you that he didn't know anything much about computers?
Maybe I don't recall.
Okay. I don't think I have anything further. Thank you.
Any redirect? Yes, sir.
Investigator Mel, had you ever met Colt before?
No, sir.
Did you ever spend any time with him? Did you know anything about his history?
I did not.
Okay. When you were talking to Colin Gray, did he mention anything to you about 2 years before the police coming to his house?
No.
Okay. Did he mention anything about Colt searching how to kill your dad on the computer?
No.
Okay. Did he say anything about his time at West Jackson Middle School, where Colt got in-school suspension 3 times in his first 3 months there?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. Did you say anything about when he was at Jefferson High School that school year that he had missed 25 days of unexcused absences?
No.
Did he talk about that at that school year at Jefferson Middle School that he had actually vandalized the bathroom in Jefferson?
No, he did not.
So he didn't tell you any of this history of Colt that you might be able to better understand?
No, sir.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Because you were not there to interview him about truancy, right?
About truancy?
Right, about missing school.
No, sir.
You were not there to ask him about whether or not his son had ever done anything in school bad.
No, sir.
You were not there to find out whether Mr. Gray was divorced, not divorced, at what point Colt lived with his mother, not lived with his mother. These were not things that you wanted to find out at that point, was it?
Not particularly, no.
Okay, because you came there for one specific thing.
Yes, sir.
And if you wanted to ask Mr. Colin Gray about any of these other things, you could have asked him. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You excused thanks, sir.
All right, so let me bring in my guest. With me today, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Franz Borghardt. And Franz, it's day 4 of the trial. We're finally getting to what really is the heart of this case, what this defendant knew or didn't know, which is really going to be the reason he gets convicted or not convicted. I want to get your thoughts on that whole sort of the way that played out, the direct, the cross, the redirect, and the recross. I think it's really a microcosm of what this case is really all about, because again, they're trying to show some of the things he knew, some of the things he didn't know, some of the concern he showed, some of the concern he didn't show, how good the son was at hiding what his true things were, if he had already begun to sort of have this plan at that point. Your thoughts on what we just saw?
I think we saw a very good fencing match with some good cross-examination from the defense counsel. Look, would an average citizen volunteer the information that they talked about, the state talked about on recross? Maybe they would have, but if he didn't ask those questions, I think this match goes to the defense only because if the jury thinks that the state's reaching, then they're going to lose some credibility. And if they lose credibility, Michael, then it becomes difficult for them to, with a straight face, say what? That he knew about all this, he should have known about it, and they have to show that he knew about it and failed to do something, that he acted grossly negligent. And if they fail to do that, then they don't get second-degree murder.
Now, what I think the state was doing there with that redirect was essentially trying to explain to this jury, number one, hey, this kid's done a lot of different things, and this officer didn't know it. So when he decided that there was nothing else to pursue, that's one thing. But then you have the father on the other hand, right? The defense is claiming, hey, nothing to see here, nothing more to pursue. They wanted to show the jury he had a lot more information about this kid, which is why we believe he knew more, should have done more.
Possibly, but remember, the law doesn't require anybody to be the best father. What the law requires in this case is that he didn't act in a way that was grossly negligent. And here's the problem. It's not one isolated thing. It's does the cumulative amount of things that the father knew. First, they got to prove that he knew stuff. And two, if he knew the stuff, did the cumulative amount of things that he knew create an environment that him giving his son this rifle, this firearm, rises to the level of second-degree murder. And the problem is, I don't know that they can prove that he knew everything that they're asserting that he proved that he knew. Searches on the internet, that's going to be problematic.
But here, Franz, quickly, I got another couple of seconds here. I'm not even sure it's so much the act of giving him the gun, because I found out an interesting fact today that there are more guns per capita than people in Georgia, so it's a gun state. But the fact that he didn't take it away, I think that is the more important fact here.
I think not taking the gun away, not taking the magazines away, not ensuring that there's no ammunition, those are all going to be the issues I think that the jury wrestles with.
Absolutely, I agree.